Hey Nation, Harry here. I am on the last day of IT Nation 2022 in Orlando post-hurricane, and I'm with Matt and Joe. Matt, how you doing?
Doing great.
All right. Joe, how's it going?
Good, Harry.
All right, so we're talking Liongard. So first of all, what does Liongard do? You know, what's literally the elevator ride?
The whole premise of Liongard is to solve for the lack of visibility in the IT stack for the MSP. And so we provide visibility from cloud all the way to endpoint. And what we do is we're able to then streamline and fuel the workflows or the processes that the MSPs have with all of this rich data that we've generated from the systems.
Okay, so sort of visibility management, probably the overused term single pane of glass to see all your devices.
A bit of that, sure.
A little bit of that, okay. And Matt, what is your job?
I'm the VP of Product.
Okay. And then you're a co-founder. What else do you do?
I'm the CEO, so I'm busy. I'm just a lot of context switching across the various areas.
Yeah. So talk to me. What's on the menu for 2023 for Liongard, other than a lot of events? I do see you. I see you guys around.
Yeah. So one of the kind of key functions of our platform are what we call the inspectors. So the things that sort of attach to all of those IT systems that MSPs have to deal with these days. Suck out all the configuration data and turn it into kind of a central thing you can use to do cool stuff, right? Like that's the basic thing of Liongard. We built a ton of those inspectors. We've got over 70 integrations.
Wow, yeah, that's hard work.
Right, yeah, so we've done that bit of the hard work, going to continue kind of building and maintaining those, but really focusing in 2023 on what do you do with the data? Right, we've already got reporting features, we've already got alerting, change detection features, but really completing the story on what are MSPs going to do with the data to fuel their workflows?
Yeah. Before, in our rehearsal, before we got going, we're joking about the old days small business server, and that was one of our challenges back in the early days, is we could generate all this data, and it included SQL Server, right, which was cool, but not a lot of people used it. But the messaging, the question around Redmond was, why the heck are we here, right? Why are we running around and doing all this and generating data?
Yeah.
And so that's another way of putting that, right?
Yeah.
What do we do with this data?
Yeah. And we have over to this point 2,000 MSPs already doing very cool stuff with the platform, right? Getting a lot of value from it. But I mean, that's undeniably a focus in 2023. Is what are the improved reporting features, kind of bringing together our existing alerting and change detection features to drive probably in particular security outcomes. That's, I think, a big point of value when you have that huge data set about how is everything configured. Okay, well, that's where you can start to do things like, I've got my baseline of systems, what standards do I need to get my customer environments up to? How do I measure and track that and know when things change? There's a lot more to do there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and then, so tell me a little bit about the company history. You know my friend and yours, Vincent Tran from 4th grade. I didn't know him that long. What's the story? How did y'all get started, right? What was, were you trying to put a desktop on, a PC on every desktop in the world? I mean.
It wasn't that mission. Someone else had already handled that. And so really the mission was built around our experiences in the MSP industry, both Vincent and myself. We operated that MSP and ultimately, sold it in 2012. Worked there for 2 more years and then realized, we need to solve for a challenge that we were seeing in the industry. And I joke, I lost my hair running that MSP. and here's why. It's because much of the complexity that you run into happens to hide around in all of these various systems that are managed on behalf of the customer. And so when we founded Liongard, we wanted to come up with a concept. We came to market with this concept called unified visibility, which we hit the market with, which was around having visibility into the configurations of all the systems that are from cloud all the way to endpoint.
Yeah.
And that's uniquely different with regards to exposing those configurations, users, privileges, settings, everything, and centralizing that. Why? Because the left hand needs to know what the right hand's doing.
Good message.
We go through this manual documentation process. Why do it? Why not have that visibility automatically?
Yeah. And maybe a little company history. What year did you open the doors? Are you investor backed, or maybe whatever you can share with me?
Yeah. So the concept, we started thinking through it and created the name 2015.
Okay, so
And then,
relatively new.
but really we went to market in 2018 with the product. We've been through multiple rounds of funding. So we've had seed stage funding, Series A, Series B, recent financing we just did as well this year. So we've been growing at a fairly fast pace. We've got close to 2,000 MSPs that are using the platform. Over 60,000 end customers where the software is deployed. So it's definitely been a pretty fast ride to get here, and we're solving this challenge that MSPs are having, where the majority of their processes are dependent on having greater visibility and access to the information and data that sits in those systems, servers. And
What's the persona of your average MSP? And the reason I ask is my company, SMB Nation, we're kind of known for the S of SMB, and we're here at IT Nation, and it's arguably getting a little more into the M of SMB in terms of a little bit larger MSP. What's your lane?
Yeah, so we service. There's first the MSP and their end customer.
Correct.
And so if we speak to the MSP's end customer, what we know is that their end customers are primarily SMBs, but also we see mid-market and enterprise in the mix. But the majority is SMB. And when it comes to the MSP themselves, we think of them in terms of how many customers do they manage, and we think about that side.
So not employee headcount, not 1 to 5.
Not as much in terms of employee headcount. It's really just it's because of the way that we have the product licensed with our MSPs. But generally, what we're working with is the smaller MSPs, mid-size, and some pretty large ones. And we got a mix of both. Our sweet spot is really the ones that are in this growth segment. So the ones that are getting to this stage where they've gotten out of the early stage and they're starting to scale.
Exactly.
And
That's a good conference for that.
And then the other sweet spot is around what we call the established MSPs, the ones that have generally hundreds of customers under management. So they've gone through that whole thought process.
Okay, and then finally, how'd you like the show?
Had a great time. We've had a lot of traffic at the booth. My voice is almost gone, so I'm glad it's the last day. But no, we've had a great time and had a lot of really meaningful and excellent conversations with MSPs.
Yeah, and I noticed you had a double wide, as we like to say, back in the trailer courts of Anchorage, Alaska, where I grew up. So you invested in the show. I mean, that's and you have good placement, kind of right as you enter the trade show hall. So you made an investment.
We made a deliberate decision for IT Nation fairly early on. That we said, you know what, let's do this. So when we saw the hurricane coming, we were a little bit concerned.
Tell me about it.
But you know what, it worked out. So, but yeah, we did, and it's a great show for us. A great chance to interact with prospects and partners.
All right, well, continued success, and I'll look you up when I drive down the road from Austin to Houston.
All right, thank you, Harry.
Thanks.